Today I'm going to talk a little bit about some basic warm-ups, things that we can do to enhance our voice. And we use these warm-ups whether we're speaking or whether we are getting ready to sing. They're all just basic to relax some muscles and to make it so that we sound our very best and we have the nicest resonance, the nicest tone when we're speaking and or singing. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to do something that's going to relax our face muscles all through here. So as you are performing these exercises, we always want to make sure that our face is just as relaxed as possible. And one of the things that I like to do are what I call bubbles. Some people call them trills. There's a number of other words that they'll use for them, but let's just call them bubbles for right now. It's kind of like, now, when you are doing that, I want you to do that forward. And then I want you to open your throat so that it's going to have a different sound and it's going to work back in with your chords a little differently. So listen to the difference here. So the second time you heard an open throat. If I close that off, you can hear that. Okay, so I want to open that up just as much as possible. We're just going to go up and down. Okay, so we want to do this, and every time we're just going to go up a half a step or a full step. Okay, something like that. And we can go up a full octave or we can go up 6 or 7 notes depending. Now, the next thing we want to do is every time as we're doing that, each time, go ahead and put your hands right here. If you're up at a certain level, as you get higher, your lips might not want to bubble. And so you can push your fingers just right here, right under the cheekbone. And if you push up, it'll keep that bubble going. It'll just keep that going. Sometimes our bubblers aren't as strong as we want them to be. Now, what we want as we do this is we always want our larynx to stay down and in place. And we don't want it to flip, so it would sound like, you hear the difference there? We don't want that to take place. We want the larynx to stay all the way down. Okay? As we do that, we can see, is our face loose? Is our jaws loose? And we shouldn't be able to hear a difference if we're truly loose. We should be able to move our face all over and have the same sound. And that's good because we want everything to be loose through here. So that's a good exercise to kind of get going. Another good exercise is we make this sound, go, 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 go. So it's not ga, 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 go, like it's good, go, go. This forces our larynx to stay down, go, go, go. So we're pushing, you can put your hand right on your larynx right there, your Adam's apple, where you'll feel that, go, 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 go. And you can feel that pushing it down. Now, as we're gonna do some scales where we're going up, and you'll feel like go 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 go. You're gonna feel that stay in place there. All right, we'll do something here in just a minute where you can feel it where it's gonna want to slide up. But when we do go, it does really well at staying down. So we don't want to do all of our scales the same. So we go 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 go. We can just do that. That's a 1 5 3 octave 5 3 1. Okay. go, 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 go. So if you put your hand right there, you can feel that. And what we don't want to do is ga, 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 ga. That doesn't help us. Go, go, go. That's what helps. And we can go up quite a ways with that. Okay. Now, as you're doing bubbles or as you're doing go and these next couple of exercises, what we do not ever want to do is get to the point where we're forcing something. So on go, if we're going a little higher, at some point, it should just cut out and we just shouldn't hear anything at a certain level. Go, 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 go. Hear it? Go, 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 go. What that's telling us is your chords are just not ready to vibrate. And so you're not getting anything out of it. It also tells us that everything is in place properly and we're not hurting ourselves. Now, if I want to force that up there, I can, but that's not good for us. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to do anything that puts any strain on our chords or anything else through our throat area, okay? And eventually, go, 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 go. It will vibrate and we'll hear it, okay? We just have to work towards it. We're strengthening the chords until they vibrate for us. So the next one we want to do is what we call the neigh. And it's very similar to the sound of a horse. And it's a little nasally. And so it's neigh, 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 neigh. Okay, but we don't want it to be too nasally. Neigh, 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 neigh. But you're going to feel it up here in your mask a lot more than the others. Now, as we go higher, it's going to become a little more nasally. Okay, as we feel it more and more here. You're going to feel it more here. Okay. Now, this is one, if you put your fingers here on your larynx, you'll feel it start to move up, and hopefully we can keep it down. Hopefully it stays down for us, which is what we want it to do. Okay. So neigh is really good at expanding range. And when we're working on things, sometimes we'll go to sing something and our larynx will flip, it'll come up. If we'll just go back and we'll sing the same thing without the words, but maybe with neigh, we can typically sing what we want to, okay? So this sounds right now like this is all stuff to help us with singing. These exercises are really good for singing. I'll go into some things here shortly. That'll be great for speaking as well. The next exercise is ma. And this is all going to be about a nice tone. So ma, 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 ma. When we get to that octave, we want to hold it and we're going to expand with air and grow that, and then we're going to pull it back and we'll end. Ma, 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 ma. And we're going to do this up and down a scale. Now, we don't have to go to the extremes on anything. We just go until we reach our break, where it wants to break and we can't work through it. Eventually, we're going to work through this break so we can continue to grow our ranges. But right now on that, we're worried about tone. And as we hold ma, we want vibrato to kick in. We're going to hold that and get the right tone until that kicks in for us, okay? So if we're singing, those are excellent. Here's some great things for speaking. You can use ma, 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 ma. You don't even have to go up and down, but you want to work on a nice tone that you can feel. It's right through here, kind of your chest. ma, 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 ma. This is where we're going to speak, right? Ma, 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 ma. I would take it up so you can go ma, something like that. Why is that important? Because when we're speaking, we want to use a variety of pitches. Just like when we sing, we're just simply not making what we consider to be music, but when we're speaking, we do speak with notes. In fact, the last thing I just said is dun 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 dun. We do speak with notes. Dun 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 dun. Okay. Now, if I was to combine those, we do speak with notes. That's all it is. That's all we're doing when we're singing versus speaking. One's connected, one's not. And so the ma that we do, even if we're doing that scale, ma, 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 you can do the same thing in speaking. Ma, 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 ma. Just say it. Ma, 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 ma. And we're opening up and we're working through. Now, through everything, I want everyone who's watching to put your hands right on your stomach. And if you want, you can put one on your stomach and one here to your back. What you're looking for is your diaphragm is beneath your rib cage and this to the small of your back, which would be the back side of your ribs there, okay? And I want you to take a breath. Now, if you take a breath, most people, when they breathe, watch my shoulders, they'll go like this. And they breathe here, and they fill up that top cavity of their lungs. And their stomach actually contracts and their shoulders go up. When we breathe correctly, our shoulders aren't going to move, and our stomach, our diaphragm, actually is going to expand, and our back here, the small of our back, we're going to feel our lungs expand. So when you breathe correctly, you're going to breathe in, and all that is going to go just like this. You can't hardly see that on a white shirt, but do that. Breathe in, and everything here should just go boink. And you'll feel in the small of your back that you're going to feel movement there. And that's because everything's expanding here, and it's expanding in the lower chambers of your lungs. This is good because now we have more air to work with. When we just breathe from up here, the air doesn't always get down into these lower chambers. So we want to breathe from below, and that's where we want to sing from, is always from here, this diaphragmatic breathing that takes place here. This is the hardest thing in singing, is to breathe properly, particularly for those who have a very nice tone and have maybe you're very athletic and you have good air and stuff. Most people who already have a nice tone, a nice sound, and they can hold their breath pretty well, they cheat and they don't work at breathing properly. At some point, it will catch up to you. So learn right away how to breathe. For speakers, exactly the same thing. It's just as important for speakers. Now, the reason that this is so important, first of all, we get a better tone with it. But the most important thing is it allows us to phrase things exactly as we desire. So if we want to have a sentence and take it to a thought and take it to the next thought, and we don't want to break the continuity, if we have enough breath, we can phrase it correctly. If we don't, we're going to be breaking it and then starting again and hoping somebody doesn't notice, which is very difficult in a live situation. So for speakers, the same thing. With that breath down here with enough air, we can increase the volume of our voice without shouting. We can add emphasis, or we can pull things back. And the hardest thing And it requires a tremendous amount of control. Here in the diaphragm is to back something away with the same amount of energy and excitement without being super loud. It's hard to do, particularly if you're speaking to an audience or if you are singing. All singers would tell you that the most difficult thing is a controlled decrescendo with energy. Very difficult. So breathing is incredibly important. So I wanted to go over those few things with you in this video. Just some simple, easy to do exercises, and to be thinking constantly about your breathing and a relaxed face. Now, on this channel, you will also see a number of other coaches that have some great warm-up methods and some great information for you. There is a video which talks about finding your vocal range. Let me just mention something about a vocal range. As we work on range, everybody wants to push it as far as they can, up and down. With my students, I don't try to push it as far as they can go. I try to push it until I feel like they're probably about there. And typically they'll say, no, I want to see how far I can go. Well, it'll come. It'll come. But what I typically tell my students is, however far you can go, let's come in 4 notes, 4 whole notes from the top and 4 whole notes from the bottom. So an entire octave we're going to slide down to. And that, between that 4 notes and these 4 whole notes, that's the range that we want to sing within. We always want to be able to sing no matter when, no matter how late, no matter how early, even if we're not feeling well. If we do that and we sing within that sweet spot and we choose our music wisely, we can always give a wonderful performance. If we get to the outside of that, we better pray we're in great shape that day, vocal shape, to sing that. Does that say that we can't take things on that require maybe a little bit of a stretch? No, not at all. Just make sure that you work towards that and you practice towards it, and you don't just try to hit it on the fly when the time comes. You need to be well prepared so you can do it every time. Okay, so I'll leave it there. This was kind of fun to do, talk about vocals, speaking. I'll do some more videos on some of these other aspects to help us. But please check out these other artists, these other teachers. They have some tremendously insightful things to share with us. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Take care.